Maria, Trevor Lawrence had a huge freshman year that was capped off with a national championship. So what's the next step for the sophomore stud at quarterback? I'm not sure what else he has left to do.
You're right, Laura. I mean, essentially, he wrote the book on how to be a freshman phenom. But if you think about it, he's only started or played in 15 games as a collegiate athlete. So there is still plenty of room to grow. One of the things that was a focus this offseason was obviously physically. So right now, he's on a little bit of a weight gaining program, making sure you're eating those 3 square meals a day, adding some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches here and there to continue to build that mass that'll make you the strong QB of the future, or eventually potentially on Sundays. And he's also just spending more time being that leader. I mean, think about it. We remember Clemson as the leadership was flowing from a defensive line a season ago, and now that D-line is obviously younger, and Trevor Lawrence is the guy that's been there before. So that leadership role is going to continue to evolve and grow, and that's something that Dabo Swinney has talked to his quarterback about, and we're looking forward to spending some time with him here today and ask him exactly how are you planning on growing, and in what ways are you making sure that that growth is taking place during the offseason as you lead up to this year.
Yeah, you mentioned Dabo, and you talked to him yesterday. What is the message he's sending his team as they try to repeat?
Right now for Clemson, you know how it is, Laura. They're always focused on getting better individually and making that connection on the field. So one thing for the D-line, as we talked about, he's like, you can't just replace a Cleveland Farrell or a Christian Watkins. You're going to have to recruit, you're going to have to teach, and you're going to have to build connection. And those are all the things that they've been working on. And if you ask him about it now, he just said after practice, I was watching one of his little press conferences, and he said that these guys have grown and developed so much by doing the things that no one sees, which means you're getting in the film room and you're getting better physically. So he's thoroughly impressed with the way that his defense has shown up, prepared to practice. They were just in shells yesterday. Their first full practice in pads will be on Wednesday, but he likes the growth that he's already seen there. So that's one of the focuses, obviously, they're keying in on. And so far, Dabo's been very impressed with that growth.
Take the pencil. Take the pen, Greenie. Pick up the permanent marker. And Sharpie Clemson into the college football playoffs. They're that good. It's comical when you think about how good this Clemson team is. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Ross, Travis Etienne, T. Higgins. What don't they have? And people talk about all they lost on defense. Don't tell me about the defense, because I can tell you what they do have is dogs, weapons, monsters on offense. I don't think any game will be close until maybe A&M will be a little bit difficult, and then the ACC championship.
Yeah, I mean, A&M week 2 is one to really look at, because here's the thing. Every team has some kinks to work out. Even some of these championship teams that we've seen go on to win championships have struggled at times early on. But I do worry a little bit about their front seven. Their linebacking core certainly has some holes to fill. Here's the thing. They're still going to be dominant. One thing that I'd point out, too, though, about those top 5 teams that you just talked about being the same ones every year, right on the cusp, Michigan, LSU, Notre Dame, they're in there. They're in that mix. It's going to take some sort of major misstep, though, for one of these other teams to kind of break in, and these coaches that lead these teams don't allow for this.
Here's the problem you have by trying to make that case. I listen to you when you talk. You just told us that Clemson has an 84% chance to make the playoff. 84%. That doesn't happen in any sport.
Look at their schedule last year. As I'm looking at it, they won every game by 19-plus points outside of 2 games. And you're even talking about up to the playoff games and the national title game.
Those 2 games were close. They're a different team this year, and I would argue, especially defensively, they were a better team last year. They're still going to be right at the top this year. I'm not taking that away, but those were close. A&M was very close to beating them. And then when you look at the Syracuse game, Syracuse has, for whatever reason, and there are things, they play them tough.
Was that the game where they went for it on the 4th down and Clemson
that was the game that Kelly Bryant had declared he was going to transfer, and they needed some backup at quarterback. We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, make sure you subscribe to ESPN+. We'll see you there.